the FNL Network talk show.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the FNL Network talk show. I'm your host, Gebbia. So excited to be joined by these gal pals, more than one. Today, we got Kay, we got Holly, and Marriane. Hi, ladies. Thank you so much for joining.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys too. You all look beautiful. Like, oh my God, bombshell alert.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. How have you guys been doing? Did you have a fun weekend?
Yes, it was very good. Finally, some good weather where I'm at. So we had a great time.
Good. Yeah, much needed for many people. Even us here in LA, we were having some rainy weather for a minute, but seems like the sun's trying to do its job again. So I'm glad the sun decided to show up.
Yeah.
Very nice with the sun.
Yeah.
Well, we have, as always, so much to get into. We're going to get started. Number one is a funny question for me because apparently March 3rd and 4th was National Day of Unplugging, and I found that out on my phone, ironically, of all places. So pretty much they were encouraging people to put down your phone for the day, be present, and, just not have your head in the screen. Holly, I agree. So did you partake? How do you feel about your screen usage? Because, once a week we all get those little reports like we're in school from Apple telling us how much we use our phone. And do you think we're too involved with our phones as a society? So I'm going to kick it over to Kay to start off.
Yeah, I definitely think we are too involved with our phones overall. I didn't know about the National Unplugging Day, but I will say I've been improving with my goal on social media, just to not be on social media as much. So I had deleted my Instagram, my Twitter app, and so I was doing those a lot less. I do have to post once or twice a week for work, and so I will still go on to do that, but I'm no longer scrolling, liking, doing all of that stuff. And it's interesting because my phone usage is the same, because you know what I do instead? I'm still on, even though I'm not on socials, and I do feel the difference for not being on socials. I promise I do. I feel lighter. I feel freer. I feel better. But I have a New York Times app, and I'm constantly going into the New York Times app, and I'm constantly checking my email. That's the other thing. I'll spend an hour. It'll say, you spent an hour and 15 minutes today on your email. I'm like, how? I didn't even but just checking it. I'll check it obsessively. Every time I pick up my phone, I'll check it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because I'm used to having my phone in my hand. And so it's just so funny because I thought, once I delete these apps, I'm going to get all of this stuff done, and I'm going to be so productive, and I'm going to be doing all these other things. But actually, I'm reading New York Times and I'm checking my email obsessively. So I just think it's interesting, when you're trying to substitute one thing for another, or when you're thinking, something is going to be a quick fix, it's just oh, yeah, you just got to, I guess, plan for what you want to do instead of being on your phone to try and make your time more productive. And yeah, I am glad to read the New York Times more because I do feel smarter when I read it. I do feel oh, I'm more up on what's happening every day, even though none of the articles last week told me anything about the putting down my phone, putting down my screen for the day. So I'm disappointed in that. But yeah. So I just think that's kind of funny how I thought oh, I'm going to have all this extra time, and I just substituted for something else that was on my screen.
I think in the grand scheme of things, if you are reading the New York Times on your phone, you're not doing too bad. And I feel like initiatives like this forget that our phones are also just a technological substitute for other things. So if you were reading the newspaper back in the day, they wouldn't be put down your newspaper. You do too much reading. You're
That's
just
true.
doing it on a different medium, which so happens to be your phone. And same with email. We used to have to fire up the old PC every time you wanted to check our email for work, and now it's at our fingertips. Should we be checking our emails at dinner with friends? No, I'm not saying you do that. That's what I'm saying. Maybe that's where they're coming from. But also, I think being on your phone does have some benefits because it's convenient. It's right there, and it takes you less time to do it than by doing it the old-fashioned way, so to call it. What about you,
True.
Marriane? Do you think you're on your phone too much?
Oh God, yes. Is that even a question? Yes, Lord, yes. I am on my phone way too much. I am not even gonna lie, girl. Yes, I'm on it too much. I mean, you don't even want to know what my screen time is. I mean, when I go to bed at night, it's like legit probably an hour of like, woo, let's scroll. And then when I wake up in the morning and I get my husband's breakfast made and get him off to work, it's usually about 4:30 a.m. So I go back to bed for a little bit, back on the phone, scroll until I fall asleep. I mean, yeah, I absolutely know that I'm on it too much. I check it too much. I'm on social media probably way too much. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say I have it under control because I don't. I am on there too much. And Kay, kudos to you for reading the New York Times and actually reading something other than social media, because I need to do that. Because I've got the Kindle app. You know, I can read a book. I've got a lot of books on there. I watch a lot of YouTube, different things on there. I try to make it educational. It's not always, but you know, I'm pretty much, my phone's with me all the time. And it's like in our society, it's become like a necessity. We use it for so much. I mean, and if I know for me, if I lose mine, I freak out. I'm like, oh my God, where's my phone? I mean, but yeah, I absolutely am on it way too much. And anyone that knows me will agree with you.
Hey, at least you're self-aware about it.
I am, sadly. Yeah.
So
well,
is mine,
sadly. But
I see
yeah,
that makes
I
up for it.
obviously did not partake in the March 3rd and 4th less screen time or no screen time. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, no, you're not alone. Like I woke up that morning, I'm like, oh, they're really pushing this. Like
Mhm.
it just came out of nowhere.
And I take a lot of pictures. I love taking pictures of my animals. Like I'm always clicking, taking pictures. And that's just the way I live my life. I love getting photos of the moment. Probably too many. I have thousands of them on my phone, but I'm just being honest.
We love honesty. That's all you can be. Be true to yourself. I love it. Holly, I know you got a lot to say about this. Let's hear it.
Honestly, I feel like I'm on my phone, Diana? Honestly, yes. I think we're all gonna agree on that. I don't do the typical thing though, right before the bed thing. You know, Marriane, you're spot on with that. The whole solitaire and bubble popping thing right before you go to bed. There's something scientific about that. And there's something so like endorphins release. The struggle is real with those apps and stuff like that and everything. I absolutely saw the usage in my data. It's way up there, girl. It's way up there. This is a fact. I think we want to still feel connected as humans, so we have to have phones. Mine crashed. I did not get mine for 7 days. It had to go back to its motherboard, my Samsung phone. So I had a phone detox, and rather than thinking that I was going to freak out, I literally thought, this is not so bad. Like this is, and I don't know how I came to that conclusion, but you're right though. I look up like quirky things. Like I look up like weird things that nobody else. So I would mostly like need it for email and research, that sort of thing. But do I use my phone too much? Absolutely. Do I worry about the radioactivity involved? Absolutely. I can tell you with newspapers, no one had fear that newspapers were going to cause cancer and vibrations to the brain and stuff like that. All this research and this recent research is coming out about the radio waves and the effects of phones and stuff like that. So that kind of got to me, you know, as well. I would rather have a newspaper, to be honest with you. But do I have an attachment to my phone? I absolutely do. These things are so real. Like they're just absolutely. But I'm in the wrong generation if I don't like my phone, because this whole generation, this current generation of millennials and all these generations, this is the generation of advertising. Everyone's freaking getting a phone, and everyone say, you need this, you need that, you need a laptop, you need everything that you don't need and that you're going to go into debt for. So we all get it. And do I have an attachment? I absolutely do. I hope I don't. And I didn't even pay attention to that. I pay attention to Happy National Siblings Day. I don't pay attention to detox from your phone crap. Like, don't tell me how to use my phone. Like, don't tell me I can't. If I want to do it on my own day, let me do it on my day and whatever day I choose. But don't have a national day of it. That's another thing that we need. How about another national day? Anyway.
Preach. No, I'm with you. The whole thing seemed like it was some men in white suits somewhere, and it was like, we need a day. We need a day, Jim. What do we do? Oh, National Unplug Day, because I had never heard of it until that morning, and they were like pushing it. They were pushing it hard down our throats. Jim in holiday development over there. Yeah. So I did not partake, needless to say. I used my phone even more because there was a scandal that broke out on Vanderpump Rules. We had a big breakup, who cheated on who, and I needed to cover that. So I was making reels and I was on the Instagram Live and I was exhausted. And so my National Unplug Day was National Burn Your Eyes Out with Blue Light Day. Like that's how it worked for me. I did put Instagram on mute. I went out to dinner on Friday night and I was like, nope, like the other person's just sitting here like bzz, 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 the whole time. So like, I didn't know what the thing. You can go into Instagram and mute your notifications. So I did that for 8 hours, got a nice reprieve. But once, I was done, it was back on the phone and answering questions. And you know what? You got to make that bag and you got to do it however you can. So just being real. The Oscars are coming up. We're going to switch gears. And last year, everyone was so freaked out about how Will Smith literally just walked right up to the stage and slapped Chris Rock. Just boop. And they don't want that to happen again this year. They banned Will Smith, and that's a start. They've hired a crisis team, which, ladies, my first gut instinct was like, you didn't have that before? Like, that was not a thing that didn't exist prior to a grown man slapping another man. I was very confused about that. Do you think it's necessary? Do you think also I got to brainstorming in my noggin. I was like, are people slapping other people in public outbursts? Is that a situation that's unique only to America? Like, are we the only country who deals with this? Are they at Eurovision in Europe? Are they worried about people slapping one another? I don't know. I want to know what you think. So, Marriane, let's hear it.
Whew. So I'm kind of I am with you. I don't know why they didn't have a crisis team before. That's kind of baffling to me. Obviously, it was very shocking last year when Will Smith did that. I was just like, whoa. And so he's banned this year. I think I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
As far years. As
10 years.
For 10 years. Woo! Oh my. That's a long time. I felt like it was unprofessional. I felt like it wasn't called for. My thing is, if you need to handle something, handle it in private.
Mm-hmm.
I understand getting frustrated. I understand people getting upset and getting angry that he was making fun of something that his wife could not control. But do I think other countries? Honestly, I think the US is the highest level of crazy as far as entertainment. But then again, I don't really delve into other countries' entertainment industries. But I can't imagine someone in a different place like Japan or Russia or just walking up and slapping somebody else. I can't imagine them doing that. I just think it was shocking. It was just shocking. And I can't imagine other countries doing that. I feel like in the US, sometimes there is a lot of times there's a lack of respect and there's a lack of boundaries. And some people just feel like they can do whatever they want and walk all over people. And in that situation last year, that's how it appeared. But as far as a crisis team, again, I would have thought they would have had one before, because you want to keep people safe, no matter what place you are at. You want to keep people safe. Bottom line, safety first.
Yeah, especially after 9/11 years ago. That's when all these things started rolling around. Security started tightening up. So I'm with you. I was really shocked that this hasn't been a thing. It seems like such a simple thing to overlook. How about you, Holly?
Honestly, I'm dumbfounded at this kind of behavior. Why do they even need to organize this sort of thing? I want to just kind of scream at them, like, act normal, like, act, please, for the love of Pete, like, just control yourself, control your anger. Just because you're in an Armani suit and like a $10,000 Dolce & Gabbana or Gucci or whatever, a designer, and just because you're in that type of setting, you're in nice things. I mean, for I feel like money creates boredom. I'm all for having money, but I feel like at times it creates boredom. And so I feel like you got a bunch of bored people up in a ballroom, up in a gala, trying to start stuff. And it's like, chill out, act normal, act classy. I don't feel like a crisis team is really needed. I feel like that's a disgrace. And I feel like it's a disgrace to Hollywood in the golden ages and the legacy that Hollywood was founded on, and that all these galas and causes were created for. I feel like if Hollywood in the 1950s and stuff like that, and everybody from the past of 100 years in Hollywood rose up, they would be like, what is wrong with you? And they would slap them. They would slap all of us because we're just not doing it right. We're not honoring legacy. Tradition and legacy are out there, and they're alive for the reason. It's kind of like when you go on a cemetery and you kick a gravestone. It's like, come on, man, have some respect. You can see it. You can see that it's a stone, for memory. Just honor it. And I feel like we're just not honoring. So I kind of disagree with it on that note. I definitely feel like security is definitely needed for places. Absolutely, don't touch that. But as far as that, we need to control ourselves. Rich people, poor people, medium class, whatever class you are, whatever person you are, control yourself.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring up like Hollywood and the old tradition of it, because I feel like this is the last thing to like go by the wayside. We were holding on to class and award ceremonies because Hollywood, that tradition, that regalness of Hollywood, that went away a long time ago. And these award shows were kind of the last thing we had. And Will Smith kind of ruined it for everyone there. So crisis team it is. How about you, Kay? What's on your mind?
I just feel like it's kind of too little too late. I don't think it's gonna go down again. So I think like chasing behind it with a crisis team is like, I would love to get that job, because you're gonna get to go to the Oscars, you're gonna get to get a great seat, you're just gonna be chilling the whole night, because trust, nobody is doing anything else. Like, that was a once in a lifetime crazy thing to happen. Now, what you do need to do is make sure that the ballots are printed correctly, so that people don't read off the wrong movie for film of the year. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's a lot of stuff that needs to get done. But all in all, I actually really enjoyed the ceremony last year. I loved having 3 different women hosts. I thought they were all really funny. I felt like it was really unfortunate, that it got overshadowed. But I just think that the whole idea of a crisis team feels to me like kind of little and late. I mean, if you have security, you're going to be fine. I don't feel like at this point you need a crisis team.
That's a really good point. That's also like on the line of what I was thinking, like, oh, they didn't have it there this whole time. So it makes sense. Like, now you have this. I don't think anyone's going to be trying anything this year either. They're probably going to be cracking jokes about it, not once, but like 800 times throughout the night. So I agree. It's kind of like a facade almost, like, look, we're doing something.
Diane,
yeah.
I want to ask you, how do you think it came from, like, that he went on stage? Like, we've had these incidences in the past. How do you think he got on stage? Like, he went on stage. He was allowed to do that. Has anyone ever been allowed to do that before?
No, but it's Will Smith. Like, both up until last year, Will Smith was like unproblematic, good guy. Will from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, everyone's buddy. So you don't think that he's gonna go up and slap someone? Now, if it was from like Joe from Burlington, New Jersey, who walked up,
not New Jersey, not Burlington. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, dirty Jersey in the building.
Yeah, like if he walked up on stage and nobody knows who Joe is, those suits would have been falling on top of him. But I don't think anyone, I'm sure you guys didn't expect, no one expected Will Smith to, like, goofy little Will Smith to slap Chris Rock. I sure didn't.
No.
And he was nominated for Best Oscar, so he had the best seat in the house. It was 3 steps. Like, it wasn't like a long, I mean, if you were watching it, it happened so quick. You were like, what? And he was back in his seat. You know, it's like, yeah, he was so close to the stage. There was like, he didn't have to scale the stage. You know, he just like walked right over. It was fast.
And I think they were buddies too, right? So like maybe they thought he was gonna go up and crack a joke or something. And
he looked shocked. He's like,
yeah. That was a whole thing. My favorite, this is terrible, but they're the pictures where he's like winding up and it's just like straight hand, like getting ready to slap him. Oh man. I think this is only unique to America though, right? Because number one, I think we're one of the only countries who really put so much weight in these award ceremonies. Like in England, the only really other thing I can think of is England with the BAFTAs. Like I can't think of any other major award ceremonies, and like Eurovision is more of a American Idol type thing, and then one band wins and gets whatever. But I can't think of too many other national award shows that people put so much weight into. And you know, as sure as hell, the Brits are stone-faced. They're not slapping people.
no.
Like I'm not seeing, I don't know, Prince William go slapping people. He might want to slap his brother right now, but he's not going to. So
well, no, according to the book Spare, he did.
Well, he did in private. So there we go.
That's right. It was in private. You're right.
You're right. Did you read the book?
No, but I read all the dirt on the book before I'm getting the book. So I was like, oh, I'm going to read it. I was like, I'm 100% going to read it because I love Harry and Meghan. I love Harry and Meghan. I think they're doing great things. I'm not a Harry and Meghan hater. They have so many haters, which is like crazy to me. But anyway, you're
on the right side of history.
To get some tea, just like you were talking about the housewives and the juiciness coming out. I'm like that about the royals. I'm like, girl, what happened?
Yeah, because they're like these high society people, which again is why I can't picture anyone in England like with that high society culture just taking a little slappy slap at someone. Like it just does not compute to me. So you know, only in America. What are you going to do? Very excited though for this year's Oscars. I'm going to a white tie Oscar party. I got my dress. No slapping will go down as far as I know, but I'll keep you guys posted. I'll go live on Instagram if there are any slaps.
I was going to say, but I feel like if somebody says something bad about the housewives, Diana, you're going to get that little handout.
In my evening glove. Just, oh my God, it's a vibe. So Holly actually brought up a good point before about how people with money can be bored. And this week we saw that people with money, they think they can get away with everything because this Alec Mudaugh case, which by the way, like I'm sorry, this is gonna sound really ignorant. His name, like I feel like it's pronounced 974 different ways. Some people are like Alex Murdoch. So like if I said it wrong, please forgive me. But he was
you're saying it right. I think you're saying it right. It's Murdoch, right? I think you're saying it right.
I've heard it all different. I'm like, all right, whatever. Apparently when you have money, you could say your name however you want. But anyway, he is convicted of killing his wife and son. This whole story, I don't know if you guys have kept up with it. I am a true crime junkie. And this is like, you need a family tree to see who was connected to who and who killed who. And the housekeeper was killed. And then the son got into a boat crash and other people.
Yes, the boat crash. It all begins at the boat crash. Doesn't it? Go ahead.
Yes, it was wild. So after years of this going on, he's been convicted. He came from a wealthy family. Like a picture of his either grandfather or great-grandfather, I don't remember what it was actually hanging in the courtroom where he was being tried because he's from like a prominent family of lawyers. And they actually took it down to remove any bias. And, you know, this is South Carolina, I believe. And like, they're very like high society, you know, like there's still a lot of prejudice there, like hoity-toity and all that. So he thought he could get away with all this. Clearly, he's still claiming he was innocent, even though now he's been convicted. And the judge, I love the judge, by the way. He like roasted him. He was out to roast him on the day of sentencing, and he did. So well done. But yeah, all that too long didn't read. He's got all the money and all the wealth. Why would you do such a thing now that you're convicted of killing your wife, killing your son, allegedly killing this housekeeper, because I think he's still on trial for that? Why would you do that? Is money the root of all evil? Holly, let's kick it over to you.
Okay, the only thing that I had to say on that, Colonel Mustard in the dining room with the lead pipe.
Literally. Literally.
Yeah. I'm with you, Diane. So basically, this is a very kind of treasure hunt sort of thing. And what got to me is that he didn't stay honest. It said in the article, the whole article, it said that his story changed. He lied several times. I would have been on his side. I would have felt sorry for him. You want to feel sorry for him. You don't want to feel sorry for him because he has a lot of money. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I'll feel sorry for you for whether you, whatever, how much money you got. But he had a son, he had a wife, he was standing over them grieving. He got me a little bit, the grievance, right? But then his story changes. I am not a fan of that in part. And so it unravels and I'm thinking story changing. This is very fishy to me. So I think that the root of money, the love of money is the root of all evil. I don't think that money is a great instrument, I think, but the love of money, did he do this because he loved money so much? I think he kept, what is it? He kept the bail money, right? He kept a certain, didn't he keep that money? It's like, why did you have to keep that? You have enough. You can't just give it away. So the fact that he did that and his story kind of changed was a little fishy to me. He didn't have to keep the money, but he did. Maybe so there was some insurance there. Maybe somebody was trying to set him up. You know, they literally said this is like the weirdest trial in history for the reason that no one else could have done what he could have done. So they're trying to find somebody else that could have done that, could have defended him. And I'm all for defending somebody, hey, but it's just not looking well for him, you know?
Yeah. Literally. Kay, I see you getting fired up and I'm so excited. So take it away, girl. Floor is yours.
Diana, me and you have been watching it the same amount. Probably Marriane, because Marriane was like, when you started talking about it, listen, girl. When I tell you, when I read about that son, okay, let me just say, he comes from a family of privilege. And what you know now, since all of this is coming out, is he's just the first one to get caught. There is probably a long line of shady dealings all up and through that family, including that little granddad whose picture is up in the courthouse. Believe that. Believe that back in the day when you could be prominent in a community and get away with all kinds of stuff because you could do a wink wink at the sheriff because y'all all good old boys and that's the good old boy culture. So he thought he was going to get away with that. He did get his youngest son off because his youngest son was responsible for the murder of a girl on a boat when he was driving and drunk, right?
Yep.
That's number one. That shows me, that's the beginning of the end for this whole crew. The fact that he shot himself, girl. Like, it's like the measures to which this man will go, that he like faked his own shooting, like drove out to the side of the road, did that whole thing. It seems like the whole root of that was, like you said, was the love of money, because he had been siphoning off money from the law firm, taking it, pocketing it, living it up with that money. Once his wife found out, she was divorcing him and probably gonna tell everything. And so trying to shut her up, he went and murdered her and his son. Like, oh my gosh. I don't want to say he didn't even do a good job of that. I don't want to say that because that just sounds wrong somehow. But all, watch a couple of episodes of Dateline before you go and try and kill somebody. That's first. I'm just saying, respect to the work. Just do some research, bro. Like, I don't know how people ever think they're gonna get away with it. He was just so close. I honestly think that his family had been skating on good old boy culture for generations. And I really feel like that his whole line had been getting away with stuff for so long where he felt like he was going to get away with it. I really think he felt like he was just going to get away with it because he probably had seen his dad get away with stuff, his granddad get away with stuff, his son got away with stuff, you know, his other son, not the one he murdered, his other son. Yeah. So it's just insane to me. I'm sad to say that it was just a story that unfolded. Like first the son, then when he tried to kill himself, not kill himself, but when he injured himself and said like he was robbed, you know, I thought that was crazy. Didn't think it could get crazier, but then for him to murder his wife and child, it's just like the most insane runaway train. I personally wouldn't care to hear an interview with him because I know it's just a line of privilege. There's just no other way around it. That's just what it sounds like to me. Now, if he wants to tell us some more juicy tidbits about stuff that his dad did or about stuff he did when he was in law school, because I'm sure he did some shady stuff, because you just don't come out the gate at 50 committing murder and stealing money from your law firm and you haven't done anything else shady. I'm just like, keep digging. Yeah. Wow. What was the question?
Like money, the root of all evil. Yeah. Damn, girl.
Definitely the root of all evil. Definitely for him. Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, you brought up something, his other son, which made me remember there was another murder years ago of a young boy. I think he was a gay boy, and he was like walking one night and like a car ran him over or something like that. It's some sort of like vehicular accident, and they never found out who did it, but allegedly people claim that like it might have been Buster, his older son, the one who's still alive. So nobody's innocent in that family, like as far as it appears. Like there's some dirty laundry that they need to clean up.
Yeah, I wonder if the sheriff changed over or something, if they had been getting along and then like a new sheriff came into town, was like, y'all ain't getting away with all this stuff no more. Like, no. Mm-mm.
Damn, that would be fun. I would like that plot twist. Marriane, I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So I remember back when the young kid in the boat incident. Mm-hmm. I remember listening to that story while I was working one day, and I was like, wow. And then I hear about this. And so do I think money's the root of all evil? I think it can be. I think it depends on how you use it. What Kay brought up is what I'm highlighting is the privilege, because I'm in North Carolina. So that's one state away from South Carolina. And yes, there is so much privileged people, you know, very prejudiced people, very stuck up, rude. They don't accept other cultures. They don't accept other races. There's so many people like that. And I can't stand it. So I stay away from a lot of people, needless to say. But you know, in South Carolina, that's kind of in the thick of it. And from what I gathered from the research I did and from the listening that I did, I think he felt he was untouchable. You know, he had family members that probably were untouchable. This rich history, you know, oh, my great grandfather, whoever's hanging up in the courthouse, and I can do no wrong. And I can make something look like something else. And they'll buy it. They'll believe it because I am this person. I'm Mr. Mudaugh, or however you say it. And I'm glad that he got prosecuted. I'm glad that he's going to prison because you shouldn't be able to do that. I mean, that was two people that didn't have to die, right? And well, no, it was three. So it's
and who knows how many more.
And that's the thing.
That part.
That's the thing. You don't know what else people have done. And I feel like I'm pretty good at kind of gauging people and sensing energy from people. And I know that sometimes I just get this weird feeling. He's one of those people. Like, I think if I would have ever seen him in person, I probably would have gotten some very bad vibes. Because again, it's that whole vibe of untouchable. I am better than you. I'm higher up than you. And nobody's better than anyone else. And I would not get along with him. I would not even like him if I knew who he was, if I knew him in person. I guarantee it. I cannot stand people like that who think that they are God's gift to this world and they're nothing. And he is nothing.
Yeah.
He is nothing now. And my thing is, if you are able to do that for money, you can't possibly have a conscience. And that's another whole different territory where we get into narcissism, sociopathy, personality disorders. But I really feel like there's something going on up there in his brain. Something is just not right. And something probably hasn't been right. And it may very well be generational, that that's the example that was set for him by parents, grandparents. He watched everybody else be higher up and better than everybody and get away with stuff. So automatically he's like, okay, I can get away with stuff too.
Yeah. And how ironic, he was a lawyer. He's put people away. He's seen people be put away. And now the tables have turned and he's in the little jumpsuit and it's his turn now.
Bye-bye, buddy.
He's in a little jumpsuit. I love it.
Little jumpsuit. And it's crazy. You know what, Marriane, you brought up a good point about South Carolina, because I'm going to relate everything to reality TV. There is a show called Southern Charm on Bravo, takes place in Charleston, South Carolina. That same, like, we have, I don't want to say royalty, but like we have history in our blood.
Yeah.
Like one of the cast members is named after Calhoun, like, because her distant relative down the line was Calhoun, and apparently like horrible, like racist man. And they had a statue of him in the like town square or whatever it is, I don't know, some park. And there was one season where they were taking it down and she's like, why are they taking down my relative? And I'm like, lady,
hello,
lady, come on, sis, like read a book.
Yeah,
Read a book. We all have relatives who are bad people and yours just happens to be especially bad. So
woo! I know how
yeah.
it is.
And it's, I couldn't help but think of that show when you think of this, because it's that like that line of history, that line of privilege, as you ladies so gratefully summed up, or wonderfully summed up. Like it's just mind-boggling to me, because I grew up in New York. I pretty much lived in all liberal places, like New York, Jersey, now California. Like I could never imagine someone thinking that they could literally get away with murder because of their last name. Like, so the fact that the guy had the gall to go about it this way, it's just mind-boggling to me. And he was on drugs. There was the issue of smuggling money from the law firm. So as Kay like hit the nail on the head before, you don't just jump to murder, right? Like you got to go to crime pre-K beforehand. So who knows what else is done. I really hope that we get like a 2020 interview with a family member or something that wants to spill all the beans, because I think we deserve that. I just think we do.
We do deserve that. We need a cousin. We need a cousin, because a cousin will tell it all. A cousin is his dad used to do, his granddad used to, that's what we need. We need
whoever they consider the black sheep of the family, because according to them, like the black sheep of the family to us is like the normal cool one.
Right.
You know, so if
you
you're
guys
watching
got paid off.
any relatives of the Mudaugh family, hit us up. Let's get the exclusive on that one.
Yep. They've been paid off. They've been paid, unless they've been paid off, because they were the one that got the money. He gave it to them before we went to jail.
Amazing. I love this group of gals, I just have to say. Disney World, we're taking a full 180 right now. They introduced their first disability inclusive doll on It's a Small World. This one's only over in the Magic Kingdom in Florida. I love this. There are 2 new dolls sitting in wheelchairs. So when you're going on your little boaty boat, you'll see 2 little dolls in their wheelchairs singing It's a Small World. And do you think it's important that they finally implemented this kind of representation? This was one of the first rides that opened up in Disney, like Disneyland originally from the 50s. So now it's 70 years pretty much, and they finally got someone in a wheelchair. How else do you think, in addition to this, that inclusivity can be improved on in everyday life? You know, whether it's not only seeing it on a ride, it's making accommodations for people, you know, maybe at theaters or in, you know, other everyday situations. Marriane, what do you think?
Oh gosh, yes. I'm so happy that they're being more inclusive. I think that's so important. One of my besties actually has spina bifida. She's in a wheelchair and we video chat all the time. And we had like a girls sleepover about a month ago, and I don't know why, but I've always had a very soft spot for people with disabilities. I've worked with them volunteer wise with horses. I would love to one day have my own horses, be kind of like therapy for them. So yes, I think it's very important. I think it's important to be inclusive with all differently abled people, all races, all different genders. I just think that it's important. You can't leave people out. You can't. I mean, you've got to, and I think that is the most loving thing that people can do, is be inclusive. And for so long, it was just this, there was no gray area. It was like, it has to be black and white, this and that. It can't be all these different options, but I think it's so important. And so I am absolutely on board, and I'm ready to go to Disney now.
Yeah. Group trip, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing as well. What do you think, Holly?
I'm going to say that because I grew up in a very visionary household. I grew up with that dream board, the vision board, that kind of thing. I believed in the whole, whatever is in front of you, you'll be kind of thing. And I'm from like that generation. I'm going to go ahead and say I do agree with it, but to an extent, I believe that whatever's in front of us, I come from the Barbie generation. I loved Barbies when I was a young girl. Oh my God, I was obsessed with them. And so I loved their beauty. I loved it. And as a result, I wanted to be Barbie. And I think that that's amazing. And my world, I feel like, is shattered now because I feel like people are making too much of it. I feel like with that, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of disagree with them. I'm so many cities have crippled and have the lame, and it breaks my heart. It's all the way around us, the crippled, the lame. I have a relative whose best friend is in a wheelchair. It saddens me. These kind of things break my heart. They shatter my heart. I'm thinking, why does it have to be like that? So as a result, it's already in our faces. The lame and the crippled and everything like that, and in disabilities, they're already in our faces. We kind of don't need them to trickle out into, we don't need them to evolve more. We kind of need them to just be less. So that's kind of my opinion, without kind of, hurting or offending anyone. I just feel like, I still look up to my Barbie dolls, and they're just Barbie dolls, for heaven's sake. I mean, you can sell them right now, and no one's Barbie doll, for heaven's sake. Barbie doll can't even be Barbie doll, for heaven's sake, And so all that is just fake. But I grew up in that generation where vision is great, and it's great to have vision, and it's great to keep that vision alive and positivity. And I just feel like it's in our faces too much. So
I have a follow-up question, because I do see on one hand, like, look, you aspire to be one thing. I get it. Like, I clearly wanted to be Ariel when I grew up, and I made that happen. But for someone who, unfortunately, I'm just going like it is, for someone who unfortunately, does have a disability, it's just not as easy for them to hope to one day be out of a wheelchair. Some people, it does work out that way for them, but some people are just stuck in that position for life. So where my mind goes is like, now they're looking at, it's just two dolls, right? It's not like the whole ride's like, we're all in wheelchairs across the board. So they might make like a little kid smile, like, oh, hey, there's someone who looks like me. You know what I mean? So that's just like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, looking at it from that perspective.
I would agree with it. It's just so it's not too much in our faces. I have an aunt who's in a wheelchair to this day. So it touches my heart. I was very much surrounded by her, and I very much spent a lot of time with her growing up. I grew up, she helped, I was raised partly by her, and I saw her at every family occasion. And so my heart, I love people like that. It so saddens me. As long as it's not, if it's just two dolls, great. But if this becomes a pandemic of that kind of thing, I completely agree though. The kids should have that in their faces, but not to a depressing extent. There's got to be a balance in it, you know? So I agree with that.
Yeah, I feel like Disney's pretty good at keeping things, level with everyone and trying to keep it fair across the board. Kay, what do you think?
I think that people that are differently able, I don't think they want to be pitied. I think they want to be respected and seen. And I feel like they deserve that. They're people in our society just like everyone else. I think it's interesting that, I mean, I've been on Small World once, maybe twice when I was little. I went once, like when my kids were little, not too long ago. And people were like, you gotta get on Small World. Everyone's like so excited. And I was like, what's the big, like, I didn't get why people were so excited about it, why people love it. Like, people get married on it. Like, it's the whole thing.
I know
right?
someone who did.
Sorry. And but I realized like it's because it's what people grew up on and it's memory and all of that kind of stuff. So I think it would probably be really mind-blowing for a person that is differently able to get on that ride and see themselves represented when that ride's been going on for 70 years and nothing has changed on it or very little has changed on it. But I also think like it's a really small step. Like I think what would probably matter just as much or maybe even more is if does Disney employ people that are differently able? Am I going to see a Disney worker in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are they represented
will.
throughout the parks in different places, right? And so when you talk about, you know, putting a doll in a Small World is one thing, but like doing it in your hiring practices, are you putting more differently able people in the Disney Plus series? Are you doing it in movies? Are you doing it in other TV shows, right? Is it being replicated in other places and not just in this, and not just in Small World? I think it's a great first step, but I think it's just that. I think it is a first step.
That's
and I personally, I would want to see more. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing point. I know definitely, I mean, I don't know about like the actors, but I have a pass to Disneyland, and over here I've like had the honor of being served by like literally everyone. Like they run the gamut with their employees. They're so fair. And a few years ago they started allowing people to like express themselves and show their tattoos, and you can wear brightly colored nail polish no matter what gender you are. So I feel like Disney has slowly started implementing that, but there's always more you can do. There's always more. I saw one of the most idiotic comments on Facebook. I belong to a bunch of like Disney groups because, again, you know, when you're a season pass holder, you like to be in the know about things. And one of my favorite pastimes is laughing at the idiotic comments, like laugh reacting. So there's been a lot of that with the Splash Mountain, because that's no longer going to be Song of the South, and they're making it Princess and the Frog. And I just sit and laugh at the people upset they're taking their little rabbit away. It's hysterical. And on this Small World article, some guy, like, I don't know if his brain took a vacation that day, but he was like, the ride is about cultures. It's not about disabilities. So we don't need people in a wheelchair. And I'm like, you can be disabled no matter what culture you're from.
Those aren't mutually exclusive, friend.
Yes.
Like
disability is not a culture. Are you okay, sir? Are you okay? You good? You're not good. Like, I was just like, and it's like, think about the children, not to quote like The Simpsons or whatever it was, but like, think about the children. Like,
no, wait, I don't know that quote. Wait, tell me that quote. I love The Simpsons. What is the quote?
I don't remember what it was from, but when I was on one radio station, they had that quote. And I was like, think about the children. And they were just like, first of all, I gotta find what episode it's from and send it to you. But yeah, I just think about it. Like, think about the children who are in the wheelchairs, and now they're gonna point and be like, that looks like me, and that's so exciting for them. Like,
no, actually, that's a good point. Think about the children. It's Disneyland.
Yes.
Think about the children. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's not about you, Joe from Burlington. It's not about you. Poor Joe.
You're gonna get so many letters from New Jersey. You're gonna get so many.
Oh my God. Well, I think we're gonna end it on that note because I think we're going a little bit crazy. But I just have to say, I love you guys so much. I seriously always have the best time with you. Wish we could kiki it up in person, but you know, geography makes that a little bit difficult. But thank you guys so much for joining us today. Another episode of the FNL Network Talk Show. Thank you, Kay, Marriane, Holly, for joining me. And we'll be with you again next week, if we didn't freak you out too much this week.
Wait, Diana, did we already give congratulations to the FNL Network that has won a Taste Award this
We
year?
did, I think, a couple weeks ago, but I'm
Network
always down for more
Talk Show?
congratulations. Like, come on, give
Okay.
us some praise.
Congratulations to us this weekend.
We deserve it.
We do.
So excited, and we'll be at the award ceremony, some of us, so we're so excited for that. And thank you guys for all your support. Obviously, we couldn't do this and we couldn't have won an award